research. Great of you to join us. Am I too cynical, or was that about right? It's energy, we can't do much about it, and all of the amounts of money that Sunak, Truss and Labour are talking about are as nothing.
Well, they're not as nothing. You're quite right that it is an international issue, and indeed it is energy, but it's also food, which has been going up very significantly because of the blockages that we've seen from in the Ukraine in terms of exporting wheat and grain more generally. So, yes, it is international, but there are things that you can do. And I think not necessarily in terms of bringing inflation down in the short term, but certainly in terms of alleviating some of the problems that people are having right now, and particularly those at the lower end of the income scale who spend most of their money every week on food, energy, heating their houses, for example, and of course transport, where fuel costs have gone up quite significantly as well. So yes, you can do something about this. You can redistribute money to them, but you're not going to be affecting the overall rate of inflation in any meaningful sense until really some of those international factors have resolved themselves.
Well, OK, that's a score draw. I'll accept that. And I do take your point about VAT on energy bills and green levies and the rest of it that both Liz and Rishi have talked about and argued about. But I want to take you back to the other core point I was seeking to make in that introduction. Both of them try to wear the mantle, as it were, of Thatcher. But in your view on energy, are they forgetting that other fundamental Thatcher mantra, which is you can't buck markets?
Well, possibly. But of course, energy sectors are put together very differently in different countries. So there are some places where energy companies are state-owned or mostly state-owned, and where the governments, like in France, have insisted that the price rises to consumers are kept to a minimum. In the case of France, just 4%. It's one of the reasons why France has such low inflation by comparison to lots of other countries. And there are different structures in different places where the impact of the higher energy prices have hit consumers very quickly. And we have inflation, which is over 20% in the Baltic states, for example, the ones that are quite close to Russia and where they have been cut off from any exports of gas from Russia to them. Increasingly now, of course, we're seeing that oil is being cut off from Russia, going to other countries that are neighboring Russia. So you've got differences in terms of both structures, impact, but also government intervention. So the governments have intervened quite significantly in many of the countries, even where they didn't own the suppliers, to change the way in which some of those costs are being passed through. And in many areas, they're now looking at possibly nationalizing the energy companies, which are getting into serious difficulty. So it's not just here where this debate is taking place. We've had a very peculiar energy sector with not very much competition, if you like. You talk about the market decides, but in reality, we've given natural monopolies to all sorts of areas, including energy, not quite so much as we've done with water, for example, which is another area which is being discussed right now. So looking at whether some of those companies that we have created and now a lot of competition to develop can really survive in this environment, or whether we're looking to see something different emerge out of this crisis is a very open question right now. And I think either leader is going to have to look at that.